Hey guys, what's up? It's Cody Monroe. This episode's a real good one. It's a real good one, guys. Mr. Diamond shares a lot of his tips and methods into, getting noticed by labels and DJs he respects. We dive into some of his production methods and how the hell he churns out so many fucking tunes. It's pretty crazy the amount of songs this guy's sitting on. But it's all down to, a pretty well calculated and methodical, approach to his productions. And yeah, I learned a lot in this one, and there's a lot of tips to take away. So yeah, enjoy it, guys. It's a good one. Without further ado, Mr. Diamond.
Hello, this is Jamil.
Yo, how's it going, dude?
Everything's fine, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Mr. Diamond in the house.
Yeah, the one and only.
First of all, dude, cool name. I love it. What was the inspiration behind it?
Well, the inspiration, I would like to, to say that it was really inspired with, due to, the godfathers from house in America. There used to be, it was pretty common to have the Mr. and then whatever you wanted. We have Mr. G and among all these New York, Chicago, and Detroit producers. But the real meaning is that I just one day was thinking, oh, that's a cool name. Maybe I should use it.
Yeah, I love it.
So yeah,
and too many people just use their names or like, and look, I'm guilty of this as well. Like, Cody Monroe's not my real name, but it's that same premise of like, oh, let me have a name that's kind of catchy, that sounds like a person's name. And I don't think it's enough of adding a bit more style, a bit more funk. People just creating names, I think go back to that.
Yeah, I like the name. Whenever the first time I thought about it, I thought, oh, this sounds cool. Then I started thinking, okay, how can I make this work in the long run? So I was visualizing everything, like the branding, the future events, the labels. So I was thinking, like, in the long term, in the last uh, goal, and then building all the way backwards. This is the beginning.
Yeah, and that's important. It is really important in this game to be thinking about how you're perceived, visuals, and having a name like that, it stands out, and people are going to remember it. You only need to see it once, and you're like, fuck, even just seeing the name, like, oh, let's hear this song, Mr. Diamond, okay. Yeah, I like it, man. So, how long have you been producing?
Well, producing or making music in general, I started in 2008. I started playing the guitar, then the keys, bass. I was singing a Latin rock band for 2 years in high school. Then eventually I started, getting curious about electronic music. I always have this conception, oh, that's too easy, like, because I only knew like commercial electronic music. I was like, that's too cheesy for me. That's too easy. I will never do that. Then I started going deeper and deeper and discovering like all different spectrums that you have in electronic music. So it was in 2013 when I started producing. I produced like all the different subgenres that you can imagine, from the almost beatless ambient abstract music all the way to the dubstep and hardstyle. So
yeah,
I was using all tempos, and I was just exploring like all different subgenres of music. And then in 2018, that's when I was okay. I am going more towards the tech house, deep house, just house in general. So I'm gonna start this alias and work just on this project, at least for this for these few years to see. Then maybe I could start another alias, with another explore another subgenre. But at
Yeah.
the moment, I just want to focus on just house music as Mr. Diamond.
Well, even as producers go in the house scene, I've noticed that you'll go from some deep house stuff to some banging tech house and everything in between. And a lot of producers don't really do that. And do you think that's like helped you, like changing styles, or do you think it can be a bad thing maybe?
Yeah, it is. It's like a double-edged sword because it may confuse a little bit the people. Like, oh, because I thought you were producing deep house, and now you're making like tech house. But the good thing is that I have been doing that since day one. So the people that have been following me, usually they react like very good to the next release. So I make a lot of music, but I don't release like that much. I have like almost like 400 unreleased songs,
Wow.
but I am ultra selective with the things that I release. But the thing is that I have been doing that since the first release, so people have been like taking it cool because okay, this guy is like he can producing and play like a different broad genre of like he has like a big spectrum of sounds, so they can be prepared to to get like a something like really hybrid, like really experimental, but at the same time like keeping like the groove.
Yeah.
But there is definitely it is easier if you wanna to start branding yourself just to pick up a really small niche
Yep.
and like a few signature sounds and keep repeating it. But for me, that's super boring. So that's what I always like experimenting and changing my sound.
Well, I'm the exact same way. I've never stayed to one subgenre. I do deep, I do tech, I do a little bit of minimal. I think it's important as an artist to it keeps you creative. I think that's important, man. And also it helps with remixes, I bet, because you can now get remixes from all sorts of different kind of labels.
Exactly, yeah. So
man.
that's good because I feel like okay, so if I get a remix request and I say okay, I want to do it, I will ask the label what genre do you want, and they say make me something like your pressure release, or maybe something more like your house pop release, or maybe something like more heavier like your Sub-Zero remix. I can do it without a problem. So that gave me a lot of possibilities, to experiment and play around with my sound.
That's great, man. Yeah, and it gives you the fact that you've experimented with so many different genres. It just gives you such a wide scope of sounds that you could play with for whatever song you want to do. And I mean, speaking of all those like releases and stuff, like it really seems that you've just blown up at the moment. I mean, you've had releases on some of the coolest labels in the scene at the moment. Now, you say you've had a lot of tracks that you've been waiting on, so you're sitting on. Now, did you just recently try to be like, all right, let me just go for it, or have you been kind of grinding away for a while now, trying to get into the scene?
Yeah, absolutely. Since it was when I was probably 20 years, I'm 25 at the moment. It was when I decided like 100% that I want to pursue this as my career, and since that day, I was like committed 101% to it. So working like every single moment that I could. So I've been the first years, I was just completely focusing on working on learning how to produce actually learning the software. Then I had this issue of okay, now I know how to use the software, but I don't know how to send it professional. That's when I began starting like everything about sound design, sound engineer, and it took me like 2 years to develop um, like a good level when I was confident enough to start playing my tracks and sending them to different DJs and labels. And then another year when I was defining and thinking like how I'm going to differentiate my music among like so many producers that are at the moment. So like the evolution of sound.
I think that's a good way of approaching it, man, because when I first started releasing music, I was so excited. I would just be like, all right, let me try get this sign. Let me try get this sign. And so the first few years of me releasing music, each EP was few and far between. And I think it's a lot better to just kind of build yourself up as much as you can, get yourself there as close as you can to a professional sound, and then really go for it and really hit the scene at once and make a name for yourself, which is exactly what I think you've done. I think you've nailed it on the head there, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, that
Yes.
was like I was planning since before I started, releasing. I was okay. If I release this track, what I'm gonna do next? So I was thinking like 2, 3, 4 releases ahead at least, or steps that I could make. So that way I don't get like what I'm gonna do next, and I'm gonna start like guessing or going like any direction. So I always say like the best possibility, like the best output, and maybe the worst. So that way I'm prepared to react and know how can I overcome any situation or any output that I face.
That's great. Yeah. And do you think having a big foundation of sitting on a lot of tracks, do you think that helps you make your plan?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I send the tracks to different DJs, and first no one was replying, no one was checking or testing on my tracks.
Yeah, I know.
But it is, yeah, but it's really it really keeps you motivated, and it conforms you when you see a big D supporting your music. The first D who actually supported my music was Jamie Jones.
Really?
Yeah.
Fucking hell, man. How did you
Yeah.
get through to him?
What?
How did you even get through to him? Like, making someone like that in the scene take notice is a big deal.
Yeah. Okay, so I got his email, and I didn't even know if it was his real email, but I was let me see, let me try. That was in 2019 in January. I still have the email on the capture, and I was like really close to sign with him.
Oh, I can't.
Yeah. The first time that I sent him music, he was like, "Okay, man, I love these 2 tracks. Let me test him." And he kept me on hold for 2 months. And then after that, he said, "Hey, man, sorry, but I'm gonna pass. You send me more music." And I was sending him like every month, like at least between 12 or 20 tracks,
Wow.
but nothing. That I have been, sending music like every month. And right now, after that, I was like 7 times still on hold. The same thing. No, I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna pass.
Oh, man.
Right now, right now,
Like,
he just wrote me like an email like 2 weeks ago saying, "Hey man, I'm really feeling this way. Please hold it for me." So let's see what happens. But yeah, he was the first who actually supported my music. After that, he was a friend in Ecuador. His name is Christian Balcazar, and I sent him a few tracks. And he was like a big DJ in Ecuador. He was the resident for one of the best clubs in Ecuador. It's called Los Beach Club. They usually host like only top international DJs every week. Yeah. So he was playing there. He was, "Hey man, can you play my tracks? Can you see if they work?" Blah blah blah. He was like, "Yeah, man, your tracks work. Your tracks are fantastic. Let's work on some music together." So he was like the first guy who actually helped me, naturally, to support me to get my first releases and everything, because it's really hard if you don't know anybody in the scene, to get you through the labels, the contacts. Yeah, especially in the beginning. And then, it developed like eventually everything online. All my contacts, all the records that I signed. After that, it was because I made like different connections through Instagram, Facebook, just meeting people at different events, just being nice to everyone, because you don't know who may be that person.
yes.
But that's awesome, because like you can get like so many different chances and opportunities, just exposing yourself, going there, making yourself notice, like saying, "Hey, I'm here," like just giving like a comment or like on Instagram. It can make like huge difference.
Yes.
If you don't do it.
That's great. I mean, you kind of just answered my next question, but so do you think it's way more important to build relationships to get music signed rather than just sending to the demo email? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I can tell you that if I will be starting, you know, since like, without any release, without any knowledge, if I could go back in time and give myself one advice, it would be like just focus on building a relationship with people instead of sending music. There are a few ones that the only thing that you will be able to do is send music. Let's say the example with Jamie Jones. It was impossible for me to meet him because I was living in Ecuador in that time.
Yeah.
But the only way that I knew that I could communicate with him and establish a relationship was through music, because he's one of the only few DJs that actually checked and download every single song. I know a few I know that almost 85 or 90% of the DJs, if you sign more than 6 tracks, they won't check. They won't only check maybe the first 3 ones. But
Yep.
he's the only one that if I sign like a huge folder or a huge playlist, he will download each track, listen at his studio, and test the best ones on the road.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one way, and the other way will be just being gentle with different people, supporting them, giving comments on their posts, writing on DM. Instagram is really good because most of the artists they really handle their social media.
Mm.
Most of them they don't handle like Facebook or Instagram and Twitter. Those are very personal. So if you can establish a relationship with the DJs that you are looking for, that you admire, or that you want to sign on their labels, that's like a good way. I still remember the case with Sepsito. I sent him a few tracks a few months ago before he made the remix competition.
Mm.
And he was posting like, "Hey, now I became a part," and was like replying, "Hey, man, congratulations, blah 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 blah." And after that, I was checking his post, and he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna make a remix competition. The first one, the reply, are gonna get like remix thing, so you can work." And I know that a few of my friends they even get the chance to participate in that competition because it was just a really short deadline that he gave, just to get the stance, and another one just to finish the remix. And I remember that I sent the remix, and I think that he didn't listen, or he listened but he didn't pay attention. I was like, oh, maybe he didn't listen that well because he was just with the baby on his arm, so maybe he just got distracted by something. But I know that this remake has potential, and I remember posting it on Instagram and tagging him. And when I tagged him, I was like, "Yo, do you send me this one?" I was like, "Yeah, Seb, check your email. I sent you." And he was like, "Oh man, I love this track, blah blah blah." Blah. And the rest is story. And after a few days, he was like, "Hey man, congratulations, you're one of the winners." So yeah, again,
Dude, I was listening to that earlier, and it's a great remix. And in fact, it sounds more like a Seb Zito song than the original track.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah. It's his style completely. And I want to know, like, so how long did that take you to make then? If you had such a short deadline?
The remix, like 3 hours.
Fucking dude! No wonder you're sitting on like 400 tracks. That's crazy.
Yeah, when I made the remix, I took the approach. Okay, I will be doing a collaboration with Subsidio because with the moment that he sent the stems, he didn't have the track. He just had like different ideas, and was like, okay, what can I use, and how can I finish the track? So I took the approach more than making like a remix. I took the approach of if I will be doing like a collaboration with Subsidio, what he would like to hear. So that's what I added, like a different bass line. I added some vocals. Yeah. I did some unusual things that you won't hear in a remix. So I think that's the reason why he loved it so much.
Yeah, and it stands out. It's his style, but you're standing out with your style as well, doing things that, because we've all heard remixes and they're more like edits. They're the same song, just different bass line. You know what I mean? So that's important, dude. And that's gonna be coming out on vinyl then, I believe.
I don't think so. I don't think.
Oh no, okay.
They just released it on digital. That's it.
Oh, okay. So speaking of vinyl though, the Huff House release. How does that feel to get your stuff pressed on wax?
Oh man, amazing feeling. I've been like a huge fan of this for a long time. Yeah. And actually, let me tell you the story about him. I know that you wanted to hear that.
Oh yes. So,
it all started like last year. I met first his co-partner with Rutilands. I don't know if you know Gunter or Gautier Castells. That's his name. Mm-mm. They are two owners of Rutilands. We have DJ Stu and Gautier, or Gunter. That's his artist name. So I sent him a friend request on Facebook and was like, "Hey man, I really like both of your labels. I really like what you're doing with these Stu and Rutilands, and I love also your solo project, Normandy Records." He was like, "Oh, okay, man, thank you very much. Where are you from?" We started, chatting, again, starting a conversation first. And then I was like, "Hey, I would like you to send you some music." Oh, no. Actually, I remember the first time I just sent him an email. I got their email. I just sent an email. It was in 2000. It was by the end of 2019. Mm-hmm. By that time, I was going more towards the minimalist scene because I get bored of the same sound that we're pushing in the tech house to sing. I think it happened most with everyone in the UK. They all went, more towards
Everyone,
the
man. Yeah.
yeah. So I was making that. I was experimenting actually with that genre, and I sent him like as an email with a few tracks. And by that time, I didn't have like too many followers on any social media because everything started after February of this year. That's when everything started growing and growing,
Yeah.
and each
Really
exponential.
hot.
Before that, it wasn't like that much impact on the scene. It wasn't just okay, another guy with cool tracks and everything. But after that, it was when everything started escalating and growing each month. But I remember that after like 2 weeks, maybe 1 month, I think it was, he sent me a friend request on Facebook. He sent me the friend request, and I accepted, of course. And I was like, "Hey man, how are you? Thank you for the friend request. I really appreciate you and respect you. Blah 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 blah. I sent you free. I sent you free tracks a few months ago. I don't know if you heard them." He was like, "Yeah, man, I really like it." One of those tracks, it was Pressure.
Oh yes. Oh no. So and
Yeah.
so he wanted that one.
Hold on. He was like, "Man, I really like those tracks, but I never replied you because I thought you were fake." He was like, "What?" He was, "Yeah, man. For me, it didn't make sense. Like, how can you have like all those amazing tracks and have no followers at all?" It was like, man, I was like at that moment was, I don't know, man, because I haven't released it. And I was like, oh yeah, but keep sending me your music. I really like your song. So after that, it was by that moment, it was too late because I already signed that track with James Exer.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna tell you the story about that. Though. Let me finish this one. Okay.
Tell me.
So
Yeah,
after
we'll
that,
get back to that one. I want to. Yeah,
yeah.
I've got lots of questions about that release.
Okay. So after that, I was, keep sending him music weekly, not weekly, but monthly. That's another thing. It's very, just to send like one playlist at the month or every week because I know there's some guys like they get like too excited when a big DJ replying like, hey, because everyone have like their own schedule and everyone is busy with doing their own things. That doesn't mean that they are, like harsh, but everyone is busy and it's better, just to try to reach them and try to score each time that you sing music. So take your time, think before what you're going to send them, and then just pick the best and send them in a place with no more than 10 or 12 songs. If they really like your stuff, not send even a shorter one. Okay, so I was sending him music, and by that time I was like, okay, what if I send these tracks maybe to these two? Maybe these two will be like, he may have like a different perception or reception because Gaunter was like, hey man, it's nice, but it's not for our label at the moment. Just keep sending. He was like, maybe if I send him the music, he will like it, and maybe he will take it. So I remember that I started following him on Instagram. Again, same thing, starting just replying to their stories, commenting on each post. And that's really important because then after you start doing like 20 times, they will notice for sure. Oh, I know this guy. I started doing the same thing on their Facebook page every time. You even get like the badge of like best fan. Start there at the band, write your name. It was like everyone getting that. So because it was constantly and commenting and being there, being present. I couldn't be like present at their events in France, but I was present online, and that helps, man. That actually counts. So I was doing that, and I remember that I was the one day I sent him a friend request on Facebook. I was let's see what happens. He accepted my friend request, and I sent him the tracks. He was like, "Hey man, I really like this stuff. Yeah, it's amazing, but I don't know. Maybe it's too deep for our label at the moment." He was like, "Okay, no problem." So I was sending him tracks like again like 2 months, 3 months in a row,
So
and I remember.
these are the tracks that didn't make it to the release that you were sending him in the beginning.
Yeah, I sent him like 40 different tracks, but none of them of those tracks made it. So I was like, okay, maybe I should keep trying. I was maybe what am I doing wrong? I was thinking. So I remember that months happened. Months when between the last time that I sang music and when he asked me, there were like maybe like 3 or 2 months when I didn't sing music. And after that, he was like, "Hey man, why you haven't sent me any music? Do you have some house? Do you have some demos for house pop?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!" I was just making one track, and I was thinking, "Oh, maybe I should send him more tracks to DSU." So
That's a good sign, man. When
yeah,
they're missing you.
yeah. moment that he asked me, it was after the pressure was released, and maybe he was like, oh, he was maybe Gunter told him. I don't know. I never asked him why. One day, out of sudden, he just sent me an message on Instagram.
It helps for sure, man. Like, because label owners look for this stuff. They look to see what you're doing online. They look to see how your other releases are doing. And if you're putting out good music on good labels, they want a piece of it. You know. Oh, I think you froze, dude. Hello. Oh, hello. You're back.
Can you hear me? Okay.
You froze there for a sec.
Okay.
Did you hear me?
Yeah, right now I can hear you. Can you?
Yeah. So I think that's I think you may be right, because label owners look for that stuff. They look to see what other releases you've got, how you're doing, what labels, and if you're releasing on hot shit, they want to be a part of that, and it helps your image.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's very, I noticed that there's some people that they get like really excited and they start releasing like on every label that they find a chance. And that's not good, man. I think that it harms your name rather than help you. It's very, to be more selective and have fewer releases, but just on good labels, rather than have like 100 releases that nobody's gonna ever to listen. Because medium and inferior labels, they don't invest too much in the release and they don't have like this respect. For instance, I think my release on Hotspot is gonna be the last one of the year. They won't release probably anyone till January or February of next year. So have like those kinds of labels or big labels that invest, they push a lot of the release. So that's are the labels that you should be looking for. Yeah. Maybe you can take like a guideline. For instance, if I love, for instance, Chris Stasi, and I wanna go more towards that sound, I will follow the labels where he released previously in the past. So that's like a good guidance, to pick the label where you want to sign
or your style, but like to guide it to his release.
Depending on the style, exactly.
Yeah, so you match what he likes.
Exactly. Okay, so going back to the story,
yes,
I sent him the track that I really thought that he will take it for his label, and he was like, "Hey man, listen to this one," and was hell yeah, I really love that track. And I was like, "Yes, finally got one." So and then he told me keep sending me more tracks, and I sent him the first tracks that I sang Gunter with some even older ones, and he was like, "Hey man, what are those tracks? Why you? Yeah, I love them." And I was like, "Well, good. Those are almost like 1.5 years old." And I thought that I was like thinking, now these are not so good tracks. Why I will sing those tracks? Yeah. Because I always thought that they have like rootiness, which is more like melodic, deep, like futuristic sounds. And they have like house pop. That's the soul imprint of DSU, where he pushed more the classic house, deep houses sound. And I was like, no, he's not gonna take these tracks. And after that, he was like, oh man, I am blown away for these tracks. I love the sound. I was like, okay. And then he was like, I am gonna release this one and this one. It was one track that didn't make it in the end. It's called Red and Sexy. And the other one, I don't remember. Well, it was another track. It was an old one. Yeah. It was one, I remember it's one called Hitori. It is again another old track. And it was like, I love these two tracks. Just make me one last track for the EP. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a new one. And I made like 4 or 5 different tracks. And I sang all those tracks. I'm also even all the tracks. Once I were almost like 2 years ago, 2 years old. And he was like, oh man, these ones are better than the first one that I like it. Nice. So he was like constantly for a week listening to the huge playlist of tracks, like every single day, like 2, 3 times, 4 times per day, the playlist. Yeah, man. I bet you're just on the computer checking your SoundCloud, like, oh, you listened again. Yeah. He was like that. I remember I have like one day like 120 plays of the playlist just coming from him. So he was like just constantly listening. And he was like, oh man, I love like so many tracks, and I can pick my favorite ones. He was like, okay, take your time, no rush. So yeah, that's how it happened. And in the end, those 4 tracks made it. That must really get you motivated.
in the studio, knowing that someone like that is really vibing, really taking time to listen to all your songs. Because
absolutely.
you know, some label owners, they can't skip over your track quick enough. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, yeah, you said, like you said earlier, oh, I'll send you a playlist. They might listen to 3. You know, like, the fact that you got them hooked and listening to all of them and really deciding. Not only is that like good for you, it shows a reflection on how good music is, but it's also a reflection on how good that label is and the time they take.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a big fan of that label for a long time, and yeah, congrats, man. It's a great release. So do you collect records? Do you have a record player? Like, have you been able to do anything with your vinyl, or do you just hang it on the wall?
Like, what do you mean? Like, if I collect vinyls, or if I...
Yeah, do you collect vinyls? Are you a big vinyl head?
I do. I don't have my collection right here because I just moved to this new apartment. I left in my old one, but I have like a huge collection of old classic house records and techno and all these different genres, and plus like different weird records, mostly about like to sample the different percussions and weird stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Doesn't even have like copyright. So I use a lot of vinyls.
That's great because I've spoken to a few artists who had vinyl releases and they don't even own a record player, and
No.
I almost feel maybe it's a bit wasted for the. I mean, it's always, obviously it's cool, but like once you really get into the art of collecting records and vinyl and playing it, it makes it all that much more special when you get your own one.
Exactly. Yeah, because like it's not the same feeling just to have like your record, on digital than having on vinyl, having the physical product.
Connect as well,
Yeah, you feel like, oh, vinyl, I have like the proof right here. This is my record.
You put it in your hands.
You hold it in your hands.
Special. When you fucking see the logo spinning and you put the needle on the record, you can't replace that with a fucking MP3. Like for instance, every record I own, pretty much, I may not remember the name of it, but I know the label. I can see the label. I know every sound on it, and I can't do that with an MP3. I can't connect that way.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, man. So I've seen you've been getting a lot of big support recently. The one that really must have blown your socks off was the Chris Stussy play on your Inamu release. I mean, that was a big party. How did that feel?
Yeah, absolutely. It was actually after that moment when my career started, developing. Because after that, before that, I didn't have like any proof. For instance, Jamie Jones, like I told you before, he was one of the first guys who was actually supporting my music, but I never got him on video of playing one of my tracks. But I know because, he told me to put on hold the tracks. He was constantly telling me, "Hey, keep sending me. This is not the right one, but keep sending me." Yeah. So I didn't got him on video. At least maybe I didn't invest the amount searching online because at that time I didn't have even an Instagram.
Yeah.
I wasn't using, so probably I missed the opportunity to get him on video playing one of my tracks. But the first one that I got
played in some good fucking places with Jamie
Jones. Probably. But I never got the videos. But the first one, or the first, public proof that I got, it was from Chris Stussy. I remember him sending pressure, and he immediately, like the next day, he sent me like a video. Hey man, watch this. I was like, no man, that's my track. And he put it first on the post, and he had like 5 different tracks. But he put he put my track as the first one. I was like, oh man, so many people are watching right now, and everyone was requesting, what's the track ID? What's the track ID? Who made it? I was like, hell yeah, that's my track.
Yeah, boy.
And I played like a lot. I sent him just to him the track. Well, before that, I also sent the track to Jamie, but I remember sending the track because I saw a post when they were saying, "Hey, we're happy to sign this track by Jaden Thompson, Seriously Eyes." And I was like, I will never sing actually my track Pressure to Pete because that's not their sound.
Yeah.
But they signed Seriously Eyes, and it got like a pretty similar vibe. Maybe I should send it. So I told him, "Hey Chris, I know that this is not the stuff that you usually sign for the label. No, check it out. Maybe you like it." And then he listened, he downloaded the track, And 2 days later is when I got a message from him on Instagram saying, "Hey, check my post." And I just checked it. It was my track. I was like, "Yeah, nice."
dude.
And after that, it happened just like a month, like 6 weeks. I sent it, and I got like a few offers from different labels, but I was not. I'm not gonna take it. I'm gonna wait until I get a better one. That's when after he had a gig at Studio 338, I think.
Yeah.
And he played over there, and James Exer was with him in the booth. He was just like a special guest that night. And he was like, and James Exer wrote me on Instagram, "Hey man, how are you? I was with Chris Stasi last night, and he played your track Pressure. Man, I really love your music. I really love that track. Is still available to sign?" I was like, "Hell yeah, James, you can take it."
Yeah, man. And that's a great label. That's a great artist, great label. And he must have really liked it when it was an EP, just one single and a remix, because that doesn't happen very often. So we had to have it.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. So yeah, so Chris was still. That's so awesome, man. Chris was playing your stuff out before it was signed, and I actually saw him in Perth, probably around about the same time, and I shazammed like his whole set. Nothing came up because it must have all been unreleased stuff he was road testing. And I'm pretty sure I heard that track that night. I'm like, when I heard it the other day, I was like, oh, that vocal sounds very. It was like alarm bells were going off. But yeah, that's awesome, man. And to have the support of someone like Chris Stussy, that's when you know you're onto something good. You don't need any more than that.
Yeah.
So I'd really love to get into some like studios talk. Yeah, man. So like, I want to know, like, especially since we're talking about that vocal, like, how do you hunt your vocals down? Are you like, because you don't use like a whole lot of them, but do you kind of like sample old records? Are you just like hunting down on YouTube, or what?
Depends. Vocals can be like really, really, really tricky, and you can get in trouble if you sample a track that has copyright and then find you. You may get like a strike, and they may request to remove the track from all the stores and platforms. So you gotta be like really, really careful. If you use a sample from a song, you gotta tell the label. You gotta be like completely honest. It's not cool, to take your chances because eventually they may find you and they're going to take down the track. It's going to be like a trouble for everyone.
So you have to get that vocal cleared then.
No, that vocal is actually from a sample pack.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's free copyright, so you can use sample packs, but try to search the sample packs that are not so famous. Go or vinyl. Yeah, you can use vinyls. That are pretty old and doesn't have copyright. Those are cool to use. But yeah, you can use that. Different vocalists. If you got a singer, if you got a friend who knows how to sing, you can just record her just saying one phrase like pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you need a pressure.
And that's another way around the copyright thing, because I know of artists that they found a vocal. It's from a copyright song. They can't get it cleared, but for some reason it's perfectly legal to re-sing it with a different artist, and then use that version. Don't ask me why, but apparently that's perfectly legal. You can do that.
It depends. There are some publishers that they will require a license even for that. It depends.
All right.
So it depends who is in charge of the legal rights of the artist and the song.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I mean at the moment in the house scene it's still the wild west when it comes to sampling. I've seen a lot of tracks out that there's certain vocals that everyone's used. That like classic house tracks that you can go on YouTube. There's an acapella there, and fucking there'll probably be like 100 songs that year released of that vocal, and I think it might come back in some years to catch up with people because it's still early days in the scene. I think it's still building, but yeah. I mean, I use a lot of vocals in my productions, but I chop stuff up. I add effects. I don't really just use the straight up vocals the whole song. I think if you chop it up enough so where it sounds familiar but you don't know what the vocal is, I think that's good enough, you know.
And that's another good thing if you are like a vinyl collector, because in most of the vinyls you will find like usually on the B side a remix, or sometimes you will find the instrumental or the capella that you can use straight, to the productions. But one thing that I noticed is that many of the producers tend to be like super lazy. They will only use the capella they heard from another production or another producer. They won't take their time, to dig and find all unknown records that no one has sampled and used to them. So
Yeah, that's right, man. I mean, there's a classic example that Butch used, and I can't remember the name of the song, but it's one of the most sampled vocals in house music, but he just took one little segment that no one else thought to sample, and it was a hit. And it's just going to what you say, that you just need to be more creative. You need to go outside the box, because especially with vocals, there's so many options. Like the amount of times I've just used like the breath before someone goes to sing, when they're like I just take that breath or something, little things like that. And when I'm record collecting or digging, if I find an old single and there's an acapella, I will get it every time. Like, because there's lots of record stores that don't have the players there, so I'm always on the hunt for that fucking vocal that could make it hit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, speaking on studio talk, like, what inspires you? Like, how do you start your tracks? Like, what's your process?
Well, probably I get most of my inspiration digging a lot of records. I listen at least to 500 new songs every week. That's religiously. So I have like a method that I developed on how to research and find a new tracks, which consists on the weekly discovery of Spotify that already, the algorithm already knows what I like. So it's always like giving me new tracks as inspiration. That's one. The other one is like going through different playlists or finding once that I find a new artist. What I will do is I go straight and listen to his whole discography. So I will listen to his first release to the last one, every single record. Then I go to the labels where he released. So if it is a new label that I don't know, I will search on Beatport all the discography from that label, and then I will find new artists. That's one method. And the other one is using YouTube. Again, the same thing, using the algorithm. And the other one is using Discogs. Whenever I find a cool vinyl, I will search the name of the vinyl on Discogs, and then I will search like the label and check all the releases, all their artists, and yeah.
So you just soak it in and get inspired, and then just take that sound in the studio.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
but definitely I try to listen more to older music rather than everyone is rather the
what's hot.
Instead of listening to the Beatport weekly releases, because that's what everyone else is doing. So I don't want to do that. I always go to the past and take inspiration from all the records that no one else has put their input in the modern era, or at least in the houses in.
That's smart, man. Yeah, because I think too many people are just focusing in on the new, and that's why we're getting a lot of recycled sounds, man.
Yeah.
So that's a great method. So do you have any tricks in the studio that kind of like helps you shape your sound, that adds a bit of your style onto it?
Yeah,
you don't have to go into too much detail, but like, is it like, do you use certain plugins, or is it the way you manipulate your drum machines? Or is that the secret?
Okay, so I will tell you like my creative process in the studio. That's like how I get inspiration. Okay, so that actually is like food for my brain. That's it fits my subconscious music brain. So whenever I put my hands in the software, I already have like so much inspiration that I can make a beat out of it. And usually it's something completely different of the track that really got me inspired that day to produce music. But it is the other tracks that I heard previous to that one that that give me like different ideas. Yeah. I am not thinking like, oh, maybe I should make something like this, like this. No, my subconsciously is about all these different ideas that I heard like 2-3 hours ago. and that's when, yeah, they just start coming, one after another one. So, being more technical and precise, I start always like 80% of the time with the drums. So the thing is, if you have like a good drums, the bass comes naturally for me. If I have like a solid percussion and kick drum and close hat, that's like the key to build a track. When you add like an open hi hat and add like a clap on top, it gives you like this fake feeling of fullness. Yeah, fullness.
Yeah.
So you feel like, oh, my track is full. Nah, that's just like you're just tricking your brain and your ear.
Yeah.
So I learned from Archie Hamilton. He always recommend just focus on kick drum and percussion. When those two elements make you move, without a bass or a clap or an open hi hat, you know you have like a good solid foundation for the track. So I always focus just on making like the percussions and the drums are working. After that, I create the bass, and the bass, like I told you, comes naturally for me because I have this musical background of being like playing constantly like so many instruments and listening to so much music that the notes comes natural. I'm never thinking like, oh, I am producing a track on G flat and using this scale. No, never. I just going by ear and by feeling. What it feels, music.
Yeah, man. Because I mean, I've got very poor musical knowledge, and yeah, I always go by my ear. I mean, sometimes it bites me in the ass because I got to go back and fix it because my ears aren't that great. But yeah, I think it's all about the feeling and the vibe you're getting in the studio and the time, and just seeing where the track goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, another thing that I do is I never limit myself. For instance, I may say, oh, I'm gonna make like a deep house track that is something that sounds something similar to this one, and then I probably end up doing like a 135 rave techno track. It happens, man. So if that happens, I just leave it. That actually happened with Kimberlite, the last track of the House Pop EP. It was like a really uh, experimental track. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna leave it. By that time, when I made the track, no one was making deep house at 131 BPM. And right now, you got Tom and another and Chris Stossi, they're playing.
Everyone's doing it now.
Everyone is doing, going all the way up to 133, 34, but keeping it deep and groovy. But at that time, when I made the track, no one was making, and I wasn't even thinking like, oh, maybe this track is gonna work. I just made it. It is the outcome, the outcome and the output that happened that day in the studio. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep it because it is original. It is what I am feeling at the moment. So that's what I always tell myself. I'm never gonna put like a limit to my creativity. So I always let it go to where you want to take me that day. So
that's great, man. Yeah, I'm the same. Like I'll have an initial idea or something I want to kind of start off with, but you have to just listen. You have to, as much as you're making the track, you have to listen to the track and hear where it wants to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just hold that thought. I've been pounding the coffees. I need to take a piss break. I'll be back in 1 sec. I just need to go to the toilet 1 second. Too many coffees.
We're going.
All right. So you've got an amazing workflow in the studio. I just want to know, like, how organized are you in the box? Like, is that a key part to how you produce so much?
100%. Yeah. I work in FL Studio. Most producers tend to hate FL Studio because it is a non-linear DAW. So it means that you don't have like the other limitations that you have on the other DAWs. For audio MIDI channels. In FL Studio, you only have like an empty grid where you can put anything you want. It could be MIDI, automation clips, or audio. So you can do anything you want. That's like an advantage for me because I like to work like really, really, really fast. And I don't like to have boundaries or limitations. And FL Studio allows me to do that. So it allows me to just put my ideas as quickly as possible and not have to follow like any guidelines. So that's one thing. another thing that I have that helps me, to push my creativity, my production, and be more efficient and productive whenever I open the software, it is having my own template. I have my own template in the mixer with all my preloaded effects, side chains,
Yep.
EQs, compressors, accelerators, reverbs, and delays that I use. And also I have all my signature drums that I always use on my tracks. That's one thing that could help you like a lot to work faster and have also your own signature sound with producing tracks.
Yeah, man. I hear you because I mean I've said it before in previous podcasts, but that's my biggest downfall is my complete lack of organization in Ableton. I've got folders everywhere. Some, I'm thinking of a sound. It might take me 5 minutes if I can find the folder, and by then I've kind of lost the groove. Um, so yeah, recently for me, I've really been. In fact, I'm actually going to take a few weeks out just to
Yeah.
fucking sort everything out, get rid of all the samples I don't use, all the sheet sounds, and really customize my sound. Apart from having to start the track, and then find my sound in all my folders. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it happens a lot. It used to happen to me uh, because I remember I having the same issue with you. I used to, okay, I want a tribal drum for this field. And it was like, okay, but where did I have that sample? And I was going searching for that 1 terabyte of samples. And when the moment I found it, I was like, oh, and
What was
why
happening?
did I want it in the first place? Why did I want it in the first place? And I lose the complete direction. So that's another thing. If you don't find like a sound in less than 2 minutes, leave the space or just create an alternative to move forward with the track. Because that's one thing. When you let an idea sit down for too much, it gets cold and you start like to dislike the idea. So whenever you start a track, try to finish the same day. That's where I work. Like the maximum that I could work on a track, it is usually 4 hours. But probably I make all my tracks right now in just 1 hour and 30 minutes, maximum 2 hours
Wow.
from start to finish. But that's because it took me all these years to develop my sound, to learn the program, to learn everything about mix and mastering. So I try to work as fast as possible to not lose the creative initial idea that I get. Because it happens whenever I try to finish like an older project, I was like, what am I gonna do? Or what was the idea that I have initially? Even though that I have the project there,
Yeah.
I don't feel it. So it is easier for me to start a new idea, with fresh mind, with fresh ear, and with now with more experience,
Yeah.
rather than and try to finish something that I didn't make it in that time.
Yeah, and like it makes it harder. It makes the job as a producer harder when you go back to the project, try get back in the frame of mind, and really try carry on with the track. But I have to say, recently, I've built like a foundation of a track of an idea, and I might wait a couple of weeks, and then I'll come back to it, and I've almost forgotten what that song even sounded like, and I'm listening to it again with completely fresh ears, and I'll get all sorts of new ideas of where it should go. Um, Sometimes that can be beneficial, especially if like you've laid it out and you kind of reach a point where can I go? At that point, I just take a break,
Yeah. Yeah, that's completely good to me. Yeah, you don't have to follow like no one's workflow. You always gotta find what works for you. And again, if I don't feel like I can go anywhere with that track, I would just leave it. So I never push uh, a load on me that I can take with it. So I always like just go with the flow. If I feel this track, I will move forward. If I don't feel it, I would just maybe delete the project or just save it and leave it over there and start a new one.
Yeah.
But that's one thing that you gotta have is consistency. If you were like every single day in studio, eventually you will start getting better at it. But if you were maybe just 1 day, 2 days per week, you won't see like any big improvement or results.
Yeah. So do you set yourself goals in the studio? Like, are you like, right, I'm going to make this many tracks this week? Or
No, never.
just go with the flow?
Well, there were in the beginning there were more like labels and supports from different DJs that I want to achieve. So right now I got like pretty much all the ones that I set in the beginning as a goal. There are just maybe like two or three that still haven't happened yet, but I am working on that.
Yeah, nice. So
Pretty much everything is going really good.
yeah, man, and it shows. So do you have any like? Have you set yourself any new goals now that you've started to start have a bit of success in the scene?
Uh, well, just sign on the few labels that I still haven't yet. Are on hold.
What
And
labels?
after that,
What
just
labels you still want to sign on? Because it's good to put it out into the universe.
uh, okay. Well, let's
Well,
see. I'm
obviously,
gonna tell you.
corporations is probably on everyone's list.
Yeah, that's one. That's one. They are the first. Actually, they are the first one when I started the Mr. Diamond project, were more the tech house labels. Then I right now I currently got them at least listening to my music. So yeah, Hot Creations is one. The other one is Relief from Green Velvet. It was
Yep.
like a huge inspiration since the beginning. And again, he told me that he liked like 4 tracks. He's testing them right now.
Nice. That's exciting.
Yeah, the Martinez brothers are testing 7 tracks at the moment.
Yeah. Wow.
Uh,
Dude, let me cut in. Speaking of the Martinez brothers, I saw you entered the remix competition,
yeah,
as well as I think almost everyone in the house world did. What? How fucked up was that? That just ended, and there was no announcement, no winner, nothing.
they did announce the winner, but it was like very low key. It
Oh, they
was
didn't.
Yeah, they did. It was Shermanology and a girl from from Dominican Republic. But I think that it didn't win like the way they planned it. It was more like, let's just pick like 2 winners and leave it like that. Because it was by the time when the COVID happened.
Yep. Yeah, and
So
it's
it was like
understandable.
really bad time, to go in forward with that project, because they weren't able, to to accomplish what they wanna, in the beginning. It was to sit down with these 2 producers in the studio, take them to Ibiza, and, with them and everything. So they didn't make it. I don't know if they are gonna ever to release the 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 EP. But yeah, it's really weird with them. They have like so many different tracks and so many different projects and so many different things. But I don't know. That's up to them.
So I know you're still pretty early in the game, so maybe you haven't made any yet. But what are some of the biggest mistakes you've made that maybe other producers could avoid?
Okay. One mistake is thinking that it's more like a mindset mistake. It's thinking that after you release on a certain label, or after you get support from a certain DJ, everything is gonna change. And it's not like that. You make it like an even beat for number one, and probably it won't happen in the way you think it's gonna happen. You will always tend to give like too much hope, you may say,
Mm,
on some things, but in the end, it's just like the accumulation of all these minor things that make it happen. It is not about just releasing music. It is about social network, social media, being there. So it is like a huge connection of different small pieces that make the whole package. So just work in every aspect of your career, and don't think that just it is going to be one thing that is going to make you or help you.
that's right, man. I know someone back home in England, a local Brighton DJ. He had a number one on Beatport on the overall charts. He got it out and defected, and I mean, I don't know what was going through his head, but me knowing him, I was like, oh, he's not going to be a local DJ anymore. But that's not how it played out. Like, yeah, he had a big number one and he's released some other good labels, but he is by no means is he like touring the world now. You know what I mean? So yeah, I guess that's true. It's very important just to keep on your grind.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. What else we got here? So what artists are what artists are really like you've been listening to a lot at the moment? Now I know you say you listen to a lot of people as it is, but who's really on your radar at the moment? Who are you really digging?
Oh, it depends, like I told you, I get bored like super quickly of music. But if I could name just two or three producers that are really blowing up my mind in terms of production quality, uh, okay, I'm gonna tell you, they are only vinyl. They release mostly only on vinyl. One is called Voodoos and Taboos. I don't know if you have heard them.
No, let me write that down. What's his name?
Voodoos and Taboos. Voodoos and Taboos, like VOODOOS and Taboos. TABOOS.
It's cool.
They are from, I think they are from France, and the other one is called Liz Inc. I think he's from Europe. I don't know. I don't remember the country, but
Yep.
again, he only has like two releases.
Wow.
And who else? Maybe there's another one that is called Porco Rosco. Really cool. Again, only vinyl only. Mostly the best producers are releasing only on vinyl, and they have been making music for more than 10, 15 years, and they have like a job or any or another thing, and they make just music for fun. Well, those are the best one because they are not seeking like commercial success. They are just looking like to fulfill their artistic visions
Yes.
as music. So they will make like probably the most exciting music for me because I'm always searching for the next new sound, the next new thing that I haven't heard yet. And those are two really good examples of artists that are for me like pushing the boundaries of the sound. And not many people know them, but for me, they got my 100% respect and admiration. I'm like, whoa, I love these guys.
Yeah, man. And especially like I'm the same. Like especially when I see someone who's only releasing on vinyl, there's a certain I don't know. There's a certain amount of respect that I give that artist. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a bit stupid, but I don't know. When I see someone who's only releasing vinyl, it's like he knows what's up. Like he's not just you know. It's way more respectful. Like for instance, someone I really fell in love with this year was Sacro from Mexico, and he's pretty much only released on vinyls. And like I just every release is just amazing, and it just shows he knows what's up past just the MP3 world.
Absolutely, 100%. And again, he changed always his sound. He get a lot of remix requests from different labels, but everyone he nailed. And every time when he get a chance, he nailed it. He always like surprise you with a new sound, with a new way to process things, and I love him. Yeah, he's a really good example of someone who is pushing the boundary, pushing the sound, and not compromising, to achieve just commercial success and just go with any artistic vision or sound that you get in a moment, inspired as a producer.
Absolutely. And you know what's good about his sound is that you can tell he's very inspired from the old school, but he's put in modern processing on it. It's got a modern twist, but you can get that old kind of Chicago-esque style in there, and that's my favorite shit at the moment, man. Can let's talk about your mix downs. How much time do you invest in your mix downs, or do you, as another question as well, if you get a song signed, do you go back and perfect the mix down, or when you send off, it's ready?
Never. I mix and master as I go. That's one thing that really helps me, to workflow. I have, like I told you before, I have my setup of I have a setup of my to go plugins, and I usually know what is causing the problem in the mixer. So I will fix it usually in the scene or the sample, and then I will load it into the mixer. So whenever I load one thing in the mixer, is just to enhance the overall sound. But if there is a problem on the sound, on the sample or the scene, I will fix it, export it again, and then send it to the mixer.
Okay. So you have an external mix board?
No, I use the one in FL Studio.
Okay. Right. Got it. That's awesome, man. So yeah, I guess that also helps with your output. I'm mix as I'm going along, but I get really anal with my sounds and the level of my claps and the level of my hi hats. I will take days, I'll hit up, do all my levels on the volume fader, compression, blah blah blah. Give my ears time to rest. Listen to it the next day on some different sound systems in the car, on cheap headphones, good headphones, and yeah, like the mix down for me is super important. And I mean, I'm probably too anal, but yeah, I mean, I've gotten masters back from some labels and it didn't come out how I wanted to, So now I just focus on really perfecting the mix down.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It is really important, man, because if the mix sound is bad, for instance, if I get a demo and the mix sound is not right or the master in general, I won't play the track because it will ruin my set. Because you can feel it whenever you load a track from different professional top labels, and then you play rookie, amateur, demo, a new one that you just got. You can feel the difference in level. You can feel how the highs the sound distorted or the mix sounds muddy, and it lowers the vibe. It lowers like the intensity or quality of the band on the party. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And yeah, focus on mix. And there's like a really really good book that I can recommend you. It's called Mixing Secrets for the Small Studio by Mike Senior. That's the one that helped me the most.
Right. So one of my tricks with the mix down, and it's an essential part of my process, is I bounce the audio out, compressed, mastered, blah blah blah, and then I'll have a mix on my decks, and I'll be mixing for like half an hour or so with a similar style to the song I just produced. Then I bring in my song, and that's the final test for me. Like if I can bring in my track I just finished, and it doesn't sound weird along with all those amazing other tracks, then I know it's ready. Do you ever do things like that? Do you is that important for you? Do you test out your tracks when you're mixing, or do you do it all in the box?
All in the box.
Really?
I use a lot of visual reference. I use the T-Rex CS mirroring. So our ears can be like super tricky, but the levels in the mirror they don't like. So I use like the DB, perceived loudness, RMS. So I use those three ones as reference, and also the graphic um, waveform that you get on the spectrum one that you get on the visual on the meter. I use that a lot of reference. I have like different scales and numbers, so I know that my on my master level my subs should be picking up -20 and the highs -25, and there should be like a little scoop in the mid. So yeah.
So you bounce out your mix down
Never.
track, and then you master.
Never.
Oh, so it's all in the mix.
Never. Yeah. Like I
Wow.
told you, I mix as I go. So if I introduce a new sound, I immediately mix it. So that way I don't get like any last minute surprise when I am bouncing tracks. So I mix everything and then I focus on the arrangement. So the way that I do is I make drum, bass, leads, effects. Then I just finish the drop section, work the breakdown, mix that thing, make it perfect, and then just make the last arrangement, make the final automation, export it. That's it.
Wow. Okay, that's a really good method. Yeah, I need to do that. I have done that before with I do like to do that. Like I'll make the loop and I'll do as much of the mix down in that loop before I start arranging. But I think I need to just take it to another level because yeah, there's many times where it'll be arranged, but then I'll have to go back and start remixing the sounds, maybe sorting it, and it can kind of fuck with the vibe when you're doing your layout of your track. Well, do you have any other like tricks and tips you use just to help your mix downs?
Yeah, there are plenty, man. I can explain just the whole day talking about different secrets and techniques.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll let you keep some for yourself. But dude, I have to say, Mr. Diamond, it's been really good talking to you, dude. Yeah, it's been really really informal. I've learned a lot. the whole story of you trying to get your music signed, that part is just fascinating to me. And everyone's got a slightly different approach, but it's been really good just picking your brain, man.
Absolutely, man. My pleasure. Thank you very much for the invitation, and I hope to see you soon and meet you one day in person, man.
Awesome, man. Sweet, dude. Yeah, really appreciate that. So, if you can just after this, just send me some links that maybe you want me to like promote. When I mean, these episodes aren't going to come up for a while because I'm still banking them, and that way I can attack, like I can do it properly and just focus on promoting and releasing every episode on schedule, But yeah, I'll keep in touch so that when this does come out, I can, there'll be links to all your stuff. Anything new coming out, I can promote for you.
Okay, perfect. Just let me know. Write me on. You got my Facebook, so write me over there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's great, dude. Awesome. Dude, cheers.
Cheers, man. Have a good day.
All right. Nice one, bro. Have a good one.
Yeah, bye.